In this episode, we head to Johnson Valley, home to the world-famous King of the Hammers, to drive a $450,000 trophy truck. We also test BMW's 900 and 1300 adventure bikes and an all-wheel drive Subaru Forester. Then we'll show several cool products and explain how to choose the right helmet for 2- and 4-wheel fun. It's all coming up next on Off-Road Travel TV.
Presented by Beta, the official motorcycle of Off-Road Travel TV.
BMW is one of the pioneers in the adventure bike world, and their bikes are among the best. The German company introduced the GS line in 1980, and that was the first time a manufacturer had a large displacement dual sport bike. Fast forward 45 years, and the BMW F900 GS and the R1300 GS are their two flagship models. And now our own Ken Faught and Cameron Coatney get to test them head to head.
There's an awful lot of categories for motorcycles. There's trials bikes, there's motocross bikes, there's regular off-road motorcycles, there's dual sport bikes, and adventure bikes. So for me, if I know the type of riding I'm going to do, I want to pick the right tool for the job. I want to be able to get out there and I want to maximize my fun. For adventure bikes, these things serve such a perfect niche, and there's absolutely nothing like them on the market.
So in the realm of off-road motorcycles, adventure motorcycles are basically the biggest, largest weight, largest horsepower numbers, and the biggest dirt bikes to ride, period. I like adventure bikes for the ease of riding them right from your house and going on an adventure. As a lifelong rider, all I've done is load bikes for 50 years and then take them somewhere and have to deal with all the gear and everything. And what's so nice with these adventure bikes is you just leave from your house, go on an adventure, and come home and take your gear off, and it is wonderful.
I get asked all the time, what is my favorite bike? And the answer is, it really depends. If I'm riding more off-road, then I want a dual sport bike like a 350 or a 500. So the more dirt, the smaller the displacement. The more street, the larger the displacement. So if I'm riding 50 to 70% on street, I'm going to want something like the 900. If I'm riding 80 to 90% street, I'm going to want the 1300.
The 900 platform from BMW comes in a few different configurations. We got the trophy model, which has a little bit smaller gas tank and better suspension components. We actually got the model that has the upgraded suspension components that have the 45mm Showa forks and a better shock with high and low speed compression dampening, as well as preload adjusting. Compared to the 850 that this 900 replaced, BMW focused on making it more off-road worthy. So to do that, they reduced the weight by 30 pounds, bringing it to about 480 pounds with fuel. They also increased the suspension travel, adding better suspension units. And they also increased the horsepower by 15, bringing it up to 106 horsepower. The handling on this motorcycle is very neutral. It can handle street miles, it can handle dirt miles. The braking is good, the shifting is nice. The quick shifter makes everything really nice for street use. The quick shifter is also very nice off-road. Some guys don't like it, but I really like the quick shifter off-road.
So both BMWs have a lot of really cool features, like heated grips, really intuitive TFT display with a lot of different options for ride settings and everything else. And you combine everything and it really makes these bikes a lot of fun to ride. One of the things I found myself paying a lot of attention to was the ride modes, and we're switching them on and off an awful lot. You know, we rode a combination street, Enduro Pro mode and stuff, and you can really feel the differences, you know, of how the bike accelerates, the amount of wheel spin, the amount of wheelie, and the braking bias and stuff. It really works out overall good, and I can say, if you're not paying attention to it and you have it in the wrong mode, you could be penalized for it pretty significantly. The biggest thing for me about riding an adventure bike is that I find myself always having to think a lot more when I'm riding, because I absolutely do not want to fall. Even a simple tip over can turn out to be a half-hour ordeal trying to get the bike back up. After all, these bikes weigh, 450 to 600 pounds each, depending on the overall displacement of them. So I find that I'm a lot more tense. I'm tighter on the controls, tighter on the handlebar for sure, and I don't push myself beyond what is a normal comfortable pace. So let's say I ride probably 70–75% of my skill level, just because I want to make sure that I don't have any issues.
When BMW was designing their new 1300, they focused on several key features. One of them was making the bike lighter. They did this by making things more compact, changing the frame, changing the motor up, and they dropped 30 pounds. This bike now weighs about 530 pounds with fuel. Additionally, they added some horsepower to the bike, bringing it up to 145 horsepower with 110 pounds of foot torque. When it comes to comparing the 900 and the 1300, the 1300 is more the tour bike, the bike that can eat up lots of miles in a day in comfort, single up or two up. The 900 is more of the off-road vehicle. It can still do a lot of miles in the daytime, but it is just much better in the dirt when you get there.
So the 900 is my favorite bike to ride off-road of the two, just simply because of the weight. The 100 pounds between the two bikes, you do really feel it. And the engine design is a lot different. The 1300 has an opposing twin engine design, where this engine is substantially more narrow, and they both make good power, but I don't find that I need the power of a 1300 when I'm going out on two-track or single-track trail.
Since I have both of these motorcycles sitting in my garage, I use them for different circumstances. If I'm doing a big road trip touring mission with my wife, I'm getting on that 1300 and I'm going to eat up the miles. It can handle a little bit of off-road, but it is so comfortable on the street. If I was going to go on an off-road mission or a serious adventure, I would take the 900. It will still eat up the road miles, but it is just so much better off-road and so much safer.
Choosing the right helmet can be one of the most important decisions for any rider or driver. After all, helmets are the most important pieces of safety gear, and they vary wildly in both design and function. For dirt bike, ATV, and side-by-side action, we recommend a motocross style helmet like this SuperTech M10 carbon helmet from Alpine Stars. This helmet features a fixed visor and requires riders to use goggles to protect their vision. This features full carbon fiber construction, comes in 4 shell sizes, and you can adjust the fit by the position of the fabric liner. In case of emergency, the cheek pads are also removable by quick release tabs, which makes it easier to take off the helmet with less impact on the neck and head. For adventure bike riding, we recommend a helmet like this Sidici Duali helmet. This is specifically designed for riding at higher speeds than a motocross helmet, though it still has a visor unlike street bike or race car helmets. The combination of the overall helmet shape and venting under the visor allow for better airflow so your head doesn't bounce around when you near freeway legal speeds. This is really important, and we can't emphasize this enough. The helmet also has a built-in visor, and this particular model has a secondary tinted shield that tucks into the inside of the helmet when not in use. This is extremely convenient, and we use it a lot more than we ever expected. The Sidici Duali also comes standard with an Action Sports Cam mount on the top, which is fastened by a single screw. There are a wide variety of companies that make each style of helmet, and whatever helmet you buy, make sure it's the right fit. Companies like Revzilla.com typically have sizing charts on their website, which helps you find the right size for each manufacturer. We'll see you out on the trail.
There has never been more choices for cool products to enhance your off-road experience, and we'd like to point up a few of our favorites. The first are these Tamarack camera backpacks. They are specifically designed to protect a valuable camera and video equipment that are quite intelligently designed. They come in a wide variety of sizes and styles, and members of our crews have been using them for over 30 years. We even use them while riding dirt bikes and mountain bikes because we carry thousands of dollars of gear and don't want the equipment bouncing around unprotected. The next item is this incredible Starlink Mini Go kit from PCI Radios with the optional cigar power cable. PCI makes an incredible custom bracket with magnetic feet that can mount to the roof of most vehicles. It includes a rechargeable battery that lasts up to 6 hours, making it extremely easy to stay connected in even the most remote places. This kit sells for around $800, and we believe it's an absolute must-have safety device for any serious off-roader. We've actually taken it with us on the back of a motorcycle in Baja just for added protection.
The final product are these innovative concealed safes from the Headrest Safe Company. With optional posts, they sell for around $450, and they offer a great place to hide valuables, and they're even large enough to hold small pistols for quick and easy access. We now use these in our Tundra, 4Runner, and Mercedes Sprinter vans and highly recommend them. They come in a set, with one being a safe and the other headrest just a normal headrest, so they match.
Brenthal Industries is one of the leaders in the world of off-road racing. They build high-performance race vehicles for a variety of classes, and we've wanted to drive one for a while. Our Ken Faught recently headed to Brenthal's fabrication shop in Southern California for a private tour, and then to their trophy truck school for an experience the legendary trucks firsthand.
Brenthal, they've been building trucks for 17 plus years, and they kind of just been building their truck every time they built a new one. It became better and better. You know, they got engineering behind it, and that's what they do. They build trucks. Okay, here at Brenthal, we offer the Ride and Drive program, and with that program, it's $5,500. You get the truck, the chase crew, the lunch, and you're pretty much driving out here in Johnson Valley from 9 to 3. And I only take one of those laps for the whole time of the day. The rest you're driving, and so you can do it for an experience of just, hey, I wanted to drive a trophy truck my whole life, or you're like, hey, I want to learn how to drive because I want to go race. We're actually using real race trucks. There's 61 spec trucks. We don't detune them. We don't change the suspension. It's a race truck. Actually, the truck might have came in from a Sunday's race and out here on a Monday's training thing, because we don't change them at all. Everything, what you drive in the school is what you're going to race in the race.
In the world of off-road, these trucks are the absolute pinnacle. You know, they come in 2- and 4-wheel versions. Wyatt's driving the 2-wheel version today. But when it comes down to horsepower, suspension travel, handling, and everything, there's absolutely nothing that beats these trucks. I've known Chuck Dempsey for over 20 years, and just the fact that he's racing the Baja 1000 38 times gives him a lot more credibility. So when I had the chance to come out and drive, I thought, you know what, I'm gonna give up my spot. I'm gonna let Wyatt have a lot more time in the car, and the smile on his face pretty much said it all for me.
Today with Wyatt, it was, I think he was kind of blown away when we take our first sight lap, and I take that so that I could see, make sure the course is clear. We're out here in Johnson Valley, so it's kind of an open area. I think he was kind of surprised on how fast the truck goes, what it's capable of going over. But when Wyatt got in the truck, his first lap, he was timid. Everyone's timid, right? And so they go around it. But his second lap, he did increase probably about, I don't know, 15 to 20% as you know, more confidence of driving. When we got done, I think he was blown away with his own self. Like, hey, I can't believe that I did it, you know?
Strapping in the truck, well, it's like any other harness. It's the anticipation of getting locked in and getting ready to be thrown around by a car. And trust me, this car threw me around like nothing else I've ever been in. Chuck taught me that in a truck with so much travel, the big tires, all that horsepower, that you still have to be patient. You have to have good fundamentals. Line choice is everything. Just because you have all that power doesn't mean you can be a bad driver. So as much as you might think that you just mash the throttle and go for it, it's fundamentals, and that was really eye-opening, because the stuff you learn day one of driving is the stuff you use for every other day afterwards. And even at the highest end, you lean on your fundamentals, like good braking and good accelerating, every single second of driving that car. And that was really important for Chuck to remind me that, hey, be good about your fundamentals. It is a lot of steer with throttle. That being said, you also have a locked diff in the back, so you're always getting power. And being on 40s, the truck will go over anything. It's really hard to stay in your lane in the dirt, which was one of the things I struggled with. But that being said, the truck handles very uniquely, like nothing I've ever driven before. It was a lot of fun, and it had a very steep learning curve. I have a newfound respect for the guys who race these things. It is incredible. The truck is 7,000 pounds, but because of how it's sprung and how it's suspended, it doesn't feel that heavy. It moves with extreme precision and lots of speed, and that's thanks to all the power, the suspension and just the big old tires. Like, it is, for such a heavy truck, it is awesome.
You turn the truck what you need, not what you think what you're going to need. You don't give it gas what you want, you give it what you need. And I think that's a lot of where they struggle a little bit, because the trucks are so capable of doing going fast and going over the obstacles very easy.
Chuck explained like how the truck relies so heavily on steering with throttle, and I was like, that made me excited, because how I drive side-by-sides is very similar. I like to use my power and have some fun with it and use it to aid my cornering. But when I got in the truck, it's a whole other animal. It was a lot harder than I expected, and because the UTVs have such smaller tires, they handle and corner way differently than the trophy truck did. So, I mean, yes, my experience in side-by-sides helps, but it's completely different animals, right?
It was so fun to sit there and watch Wyatt going out there doing, 80 miles an hour across the desert. Just that sensation. He's done a lot of UTV driving and stuff, but never anything like this before. And it really is on an entirely different level.
I think too, it's, if you've known what these trucks are, you've seen them since you were a little kid, and it's kind of hard to believe that you're actually in one. And then also the capability of what the trucks are. I drive them probably 3 days a week for a long time now, and I still surprise myself that when we come up to some stuff, because I might hit something a little different than I did before, and I'm thinking it's going to do this, and it just handles it. So I think that's some of the biggest impression is, one, how fast they are and how they can go over the obstacles that get thrown in their way.
I think whatever I expected. I thought the truck would be like a souped up UTV with big tires and a lot of suspension. I could not have been more wrong. It is a beast of its own category. There's nothing like it. It's so unique. It handles so differently. It's an awesome truck, but I mean, to call it a truck is even a stretch. Like it's first thing that I would tell somebody about my experience driving a trophy truck is that no matter what you think or what you dream up, the truck is nothing like your expectation. It is faster than you think, and it is harder than you think. But like, it's just so fun. I can't even put words to it. You have to do it to understand it. It was incredible.
Subaru has made a name for himself as a unique all-wheel drive manufacturer. We recently got a chance to test one of their Forester SUVs and came back impressed by the fun package. It's a great daily driver, very capable of exploring fire roads and mild two-track, and it's fun to take off-road camping for an extended weekend.
I really got into Subarus through Travis Pastrana, one of their rally drivers. Pastrana has showcased the brand's performance at a wide variety of National Caliber races and his own video series. He's taken a platform with very little ground clearance and minimal suspension travel and has done a lot of impressive things off-road, hence the lineage has proven to be very capable. My favorite aspect of the Forester is that it's an incredible value for an all-wheel drive vehicle under $40,000. It handles well, it gives you a lot of confidence. The Subaru brand has been around for a very long time, and they've really focused on the all-wheel drive market and really carved out a solid niche for themselves.
The Forester is no rock crawler. That's not what it's supposed to be. This is a eat up dirt roads, eat up Forest Service roads, get you to the trailhead machine. It's not trying to be some crazy die-hard off-roader. It is meant to get you to the trailhead and comfortably at that. One of the biggest improvements in the Forester is that it has a symmetrical all-wheel drive system, which strays from the older viscous coupling, so that means you don't have any of the negative drawbacks of constant all-wheel drive. It's electronically controlled, which means that when you're on the road and you don't need all-wheel drive, you're in two-wheel, it's fine. But the second you need it, the computer figures it out and gives power to the wheels that need it. Not just all the wheels, it gives power to the wheels that need it, which in the case of a light vehicle like this with a good CVT, power really delivers where you need it, when you need it. It's actually, for only 180 horsepower, it's really impressive.
There's 3 different electronic drive modes in the Subaru, And those are all designed to control the amount of traction that the car gets. You know, it affects things like the throttle, the braking, and overall sensitivity. So the tires either get the most amount of traction or the least amount of traction, depending on what mode you're driving in.
On the inside of this car, the infotainment system has a lot of buttons on the steering wheel and not a lot on the head unit, which I really like. It keeps the basics, right? Volume and channel, plus your heating and cooling buttons. Really simple, the essentials, right? When it comes to off-roading, the Subaru's biggest detractions or weaknesses are gonna be your travel and ground clearance. It certainly has the power and transmission. It is about the same power to weight ratio as a side-by-side, when those things are a lot of fun. But this thing, it's a mid-size SUV. It's not gonna have 18 inches of ground clearance and 12 inches of travel in the front. It's not meant to do that. It's meant to be something simple that gets you from point A to point B and you can have some fun in the dirt. That being said, if you're careful and take your time and don't rush it, it can get in the dirt, and with good line choice, you can get some really good places.
Because the vehicle doesn't have a lot of ground clearance, you really have to watch out how fast you're going, because if you get in a situation where you bottom out, the vehicle actually can slam up against rocks and damage the underside of the vehicle. So you really have to be careful about that. It's not that difficult, you just have to be very aware of the situation and everything around you.
The ideal road trip for this car is kind of anywhere. It's very good at long distance, getting 28 miles to the gallon combined, which is fantastic for something that you can get in the dirt. But then, like for me, I see this thing as put a mountain bike on the back or the top and go to the bike park. I don't care how far it is, it's a great car to go places, pack stuff in, and go have some good fun. When I first started driving, I was a big truck guy. I loved my Tundra, and my Tundra was everything. But as our off-roading adventure has continued, I've come to love SUVs. Our 4Runner is probably my favorite vehicle we have. And this thing tickles that itch in a way I didn't think could be done, because it does it in a more comfortable, more practical vehicle. But I feel like this thing can still get me to the places in the dirt I want to without sacrificing much. I am really impressed by the Forester, and I really like it.